And we begin tonight with breaking news. Activist, trailblazer, and former LA County Supervisor Gloria Molina has died. Good evening, everyone. I'm Ross Palumbo.
And I'm Leslie Money. In our top story here on KCAL News. Gloria Molina's family made the announcement this evening. She was the first Latina on the board. KCAL's political reporter Tom Wade has a look back at her life and legacy.
She was greeted by thunderous applause and chants of Viva Molina as Gloria Molina was sworn in as the first Latina on the LA County Board of Supervisors in 1991.
At the county level of government, we must open up the process to new representation.
While her election was historic, it was just one of many firsts for Molina. She was the first Latina elected to the state assembly in 1982 and the first Latina on the LA City Council, elected in 1987. But it was her time as a supervisor that would last for decades. In office, she would quickly become known as someone who would never back down from a cause or a fight that she believed in.
It is hard for me to control the kind of temper that I have.
Like here in 2014, when Molina took on the now defunct Exide recycled battery plant in Vernon, after it was found the company was to blame for lead poisoning in children who lived near the facility.
Today, the Board of Supervisors will hopefully join me in filing a lawsuit.
Molina had a long list of allies and friends.
A trailblazer, a pioneer, a fighter.
Former LA Mayor Antonia Villaraigosa.
A woman who didn't care what the odds against her were whenever she took on a fight that benefited her constituents. I probably as close as anyone to her in terms of those who have been in office. And I can tell you that Gloria didn't suffer fools. She was upset with you. She'd pull me by the ear. That was true even when I was mayor of Los Angeles. But we had a brother-sister relationship that I think both of us treasure.
Those sentiments also shared by another longtime colleague, Zev Yaroslavsky, who served as a county supervisor with Molina for 2 decades.
Gloria is a very powerful, strong, indefatigable, courageous woman. Never a scent of special interest influence. That's one of the things I loved about her.
Molina was one of 10 children growing up in the city of Pico Rivera. She attended public schools, went to college, and eventually would serve in the Carter administration before going on to win elected offices. In the city and county, Molina would represent East LA and surrounding communities, giving a powerful voice to LA's growing but often marginalized Latino population. Molina's election to county supervisor came after a federal judge ruled the county board, dominated at the time by white members, discriminated against Latinos by gerrymandering the city's Latino neighborhoods to dilute their influence and power.
She's always had to be put up against the odds, and people underestimate her, and she outsmarts them.
LA County Supervisor Hildo Solis succeeded Molina on the Board of Supervisors when Molina retired in 2014.
She won these battles, and it wasn't because of her own, how could I say, wanting to be recognized in that way. She did it on behalf of her constituents. It was always about, in Spanish we say, gente, the people. It was always about the people she represented.
We spoke with Solis in Grand Park in downtown LA. It has now been renamed in Molina's honor after she fought hard for its creation, making sure developers kept their word when deals were being done to develop nearby properties downtown. The park is a space for everyone, regardless of income or status.
On behalf of her residents, who she knew, and because of her own upbringing, didn't have access to be able to go to Disneyland or to Sequoia Park, National Park. Here in our own backyard, you could come and relax, and people do that all the time.
Molina was also a fierce advocate for improving living conditions in her district, which included unincorporated parts of the county. She worked on bolstering county health care and public transit.
She also helped to build the East Side Gold Line that runs through East LA now.
There were other battles Molina was known for, like joining forces with Mothers of East Los Angeles, a group that fought hard against a proposed plan to build a prison in East LA.
She was a part of the Mothers of East LA, took busloads repeatedly of the community and mothers and grandmothers up to go testify in Sacramento and to make noise, to make good trouble. But she even took on, sometimes she had to take on people in our own community. And she did it though, and people learned from that, you know, she was a force to be reckoned with.
Always a fighter for her constituents and her family. Molina leaves behind a husband and a daughter and 2 grandchildren. Her final battle against cancer was for them as much as it was for her.
I think one of the most beautiful things about her is knowing how she would spend her time too, which is very important with her family.
Molina's legacy forever changed L.A., and while she left us too soon, even in her passing, she will continue to inspire.
I think it's knowing that you don't be deterred. Don't just think because somebody tells you you don't come from the right side of the street or you don't have the right education background or your socioeconomic situation is so bad that there's no hope for you. She said no. She was one of those persons that just kept cracking that glass ceiling that prevents women, and especially Latinas, and especially young girls have to see that. Not just Latinas, but other people, to see the resiliency and effectiveness and how a force of nature she was.
Molina's friends and colleagues say it's because of her that a new and better future is possible for so many young people who are inspired by her life. In the newsroom, I'm Tom Waite, KCAL News.
And reaction is pouring in tonight. Supervisor Janice Hahn issuing a statement that reads in part, "It takes an enormous amount of courage to be the first woman in the room." And Gloria was the first woman and the first Latina in nearly every room she was in across her entire career. She didn't just make space for herself, she opened the door to the rest of us. May she rest in peace.
LA County Supervisor Hilda Solis just tweeted, saying in part, "Words can't express the loss of Gloria Molina. She was a beacon of hope to many, including myself. Seeing her break several glass ceilings throughout her public service career inspired me to follow in her footsteps and be of service to our community." Of course, you can stay with KCAL News for more information on the death of activist and former LA County Supervisor Gloria Molina and reaction from the community.
Our